I would like to say that, like, I agree with, though even though I don't like it, what you are mocking sometime back, this one, but that you have a right to mock it, and that's what the whole point is. That when we can laugh at ourselves, we don't take religion so seriously. That's when we make a better word. But the thing is, the thing what you told, that India is going on a path where, basically, I'm from India, so India is going on a path where if there can be a massacre and genocide and all. So for that point, I would say that I think that was a bit far of an interpretation, far-fetched interpretation, I would say, because uh, me myself being a very hardcore supporter of the BJP, like just when 2014, I myself took leave and from my office for 1 month, and then I went to campaign and all. So you can think that I am a bit hardcore. I was a supporter of BJP, but we don't have. The thing is, in India, what is the problem at the current junction is we don't have a very moderate kind of a centrist voice. Who is so? Either there are people who are very mute spectator to the kind of Islamic extremists for whatever the reason, and there are people who are on the right side of the center. So that's where the BJP falls into, and we don't have any centrist voice. The Congress was supposed to be there, but that is not there. So they have also aligned themselves to the right. For example, the this triple talaq and all those things came, which is good for Muslims and everyone. But there was a very much of a opposition regarding uh, uh, those kind of
Okay,
a bill.
I think I know your point. I think that now you're going in different tangents. So you said that maybe my interpretation is far-fetched, and I hope that my understanding is wrong, or my fears turn out to be false.
Yeah,
But
I
whenever
would
we,
say that to Amin.
sorry.
I would say Amin.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But whenever we look at all the past genocides, it ticks all the boxes. Where there's a major majority, there's a dominant majority. First, the opposition or the other minorities or sizable minority, they are demonized, they're dehumanized. Then there are chants, these bigoted chants are invented, and then there are cases of public humiliation, etc. But whether you look at what happened in Germany, you look at hotel.
No, I
Wait a
agree
second.
with.
Just let me finish my point, man.
Yeah.
I listen to your point. I know you agree, and then you say no, why it's wrong. I'm just giving you my perspective, okay? As I said, I could be wrong, but why I'm saying that, I'm telling you why I'm saying that. So every time you look at it, these are telltale signs of something bad is about to happen. So we see these. So no, people think that, oh, you're giving a free pass to Muslims. Okay, so there's this violence against Hindu women and what you call love jihad, but there's an unorganized love jihad, but there's no organized conspiracy of love jihad. That's just a BS story. So and how Muslims behave towards blasphemers, etc. We know all of that, so no one is ignoring that. But the point is, those incidents and then these incidents, it's like you're basically sitting on a powder keg, and when it's going to happen, whenever it's going to happen, you and I can at least agree, whenever it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, Hindu, Muslim riots or whatever, Muslims are going to be the one who's going to be who going to be massacred. There would be very few Hindus. Same thing happened in Gujarat and every other riot in the past. It was always the Muslims who got massacred. I think there was one instance, somebody told me once there was one particular incident where more Hindus were killed, but when I looked at it, it was actually even. So, so you and I can agree on that. If it does happen, science forbid, if it does happen, then Muslims are going to be on the losing end, and it's not good for India as a country. You think, what would be the global headlines when the headlines will be reading, when the news stories will be coming out of 50,000 Muslims massacred, or 30,000 Muslims massacred? What do you think? What would be the global headline? And how bad would it be on social media? How this Islamophobia narrative would multiply overnight. It already has in the name of Myanmar and Rohingya and all that, and then people don't talk about Chinese one. But so all of these things can happen. That's why we just say that, okay, these chants, you and I can agree, these chants, mulle kaate jayenge, ram ram chalayenge, like these kind of chants. And there's so many of those videos. I'm sick and tired of playing them.
No, okay. I agree that there has been increasing increasing kind of extremism on both sides. That I agree. Okay, and even me being a right wing, that I agree that there has been this one. There is a significant increase. But what I would say, the best way to defeat BJP, I being a BJP supporter, I would say the best way to defeat BJP is by playing the hardcore centrist role. Because Hindus, even though you might agree, but I would say Hindus by default, they are not bound by one sect of a god. So they, by childhood, they are like, my father prayed to different god, I pray to different god, though we sometimes pray to the same god, but we believe in different gods. So we have this kind of a thing inbuilt in ourselves.
But you all take pride. But you all take pride in your Sanatan roots, your ancestors. You all take pride in that. You have a civilizational dogma, yeah.
No, root in a sense. See, like sometime back you were talking about Gita, and I being the Brahmin, I mean to say.
I'm not talking about Gita. Okay, no, you're missing the point. I'm not talking about Gita or scriptures. I understand this. The Hinduism as religion is very dynamic, but I'm talking about your civilizational dogma itself. Like, we have this great rich history, very touchy about Aryan migration story and all that. There are certain trigger points that trigger all these Hindus who are actually conservative radical Hindus. They're their trigger points. Fair enough, the liberals or whatever you call them. But it wouldn't matter to them. But you guys have a trigger point. It's like, oh, okay, this is a Desh Drohi. You guys give out these certificates willy-nilly. Anyone who doesn't buy into your ancient ancestors, great civilization, whatever you want to tell the world, how bad the Mughals were, and before that, it was so hunky-dory in India. We were a great civilization with the longest surviving civilization that hasn't gone extinct. Blah blah blah. All of that. There might be some truth in it, but you take a lot of pride in that, yeah? And when you take pride in those things that you personally have no contribution to, you become more defensive, you become more aggressive in defense of it. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So you may not agree on who Lord Shiva or whatever, but you do agree on that.
Okay.
One second, with regards to the Gita, I think you're pointing to me, what I was saying, not what Harris was saying, right?
No, okay. See, what I'm saying is, okay.
Can I respond to that? No, wait, I asked a question. Can you answer my question? Were you referring to me?
Yeah, I was referring to you. But before that, you answered. Can I take 1 more minute and then answer?
Okay, good.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, see, if you know caste system, I am a Brahmin, and so that is supposed to be highest on the hierarchy. Okay. But what I would say that I don't have a single scripture, Hindu scripture at my home. So what I'm saying is, even though, because when this 1947 this partition happened, and we also have to, by court of a law, when Christians put Bible and Muslims put Quran for taking oath and all. Hindus, they don't have any book at that point of time, and somehow that point they agree that, okay, let's take Gita. But most of them, not about reading, they don't have that as a holy book at home also. I don't have a single holy book.
But that's what we said. Okay, you have to let me speak now, okay?
Yeah.
That's it. That was entirely my point. People are like, oh, Armin, you're misunderstanding things. Hinduism is dynamic. Hindus could pick and choose which scripture they take seriously, and even atheism is allowed in Hinduism. But that's what I say, okay? I say theoretically Hindus have the worst scripture, but in effect it's not the worst religion because they just ignore it. Right, so that's exactly my point. People are like, "Oh, Armin, what are you saying? Look at Hindus; Hindus don't commit genocide, even though this is your interpretation of the Gita." Which Hindus do not have the tradition that Muslims do, that go read the Quran and be like, "Okay, how should we live our lives according to the Quran?" They don't do that. They the way in Hinduism influences their life is through the community. They live the life of the community, and they just understand what they're supposed to. Hinduism, if Hinduism has any influence on their lives, is not because they're going out and just following scripture. Okay, the traditions that they think like are models for them how to live their life goes through one generation to another generation, and you see it in effect, and you see what other people do, and you hear what other people say is the right thing to do or the Hindu thing to do, and it just influences you that way. It's not like Islam where you just follow the scripture, where you're supposed to at least follow the scripture, right? So I understand that. That's why I say scripturally, Hinduism, if you're only judging the scripture without taking into account the effect the scripture has on society, in that case, Hinduism has the word scripture. But in effect, it doesn't play out like that. So I say that.
We gotta move on. So thank you very much for coming to me. By the way,
few more points. If you just give me a chance, like a few more points. Like, see, I work in IT, and I have a lot of Muslim friends. Some of them are in Kerala. So there was one of my friend who is a very high post in it is a like top 5 company of the world. So we were working together, and he got 3 daughters, and those are like 5, 7, and 9, and all of them now has to go to mosque where he takes, like, we used to go to badminton, and suddenly he stopped coming. Then we came to know, then he himself told that he has to take their daughter to the mosque for the Quran teaching. They are like 5, 7, and 9, so they wear all these face veils, and they go there. And when we asked them that what is the point at the age of 5, then he told, if he don't do that, and he's from the Kerala, if he doesn't do that, he will be outcasted, because once they go home back in the Kerala from the place I was working, they will be asked a question on that. And so I say that the centrist.
What's your point? What's the point? Make the
No,
point.
the point is there is a much more of a centrist approach which is required here, which is not there, and which is leading to Muslims being more dogmatic, and Hindus also becoming more.
Okay. So here's the thing. First of all, don't make conclusions based on anecdotes. Okay. Even if you're right, looking at one person's life and their story is not a good way to come up with a conclusion about an entire community. Even if you're right.
Got it. No, I was just giving an example.
That's why you can't give those examples.
Maybe if you use stats and come up with a conclusion and then use an example as a way to color it, that makes sense, okay? But you didn't do that. You're just using the example to come up with a conclusion. The examples make sense when you're trying to show us, after you use stats and data, after you use an example for us to make emotional connection with it. That's how you use examples.
Got it.
Okay, we got to wrap this up. Thank you.
Just last thing. We claimed that about Modi. So when he was a Gujarat chief minister, even after 2002, there he took overdrive of cleaning up, broadening the roads. So in India, there is a lot of encroachment and all. So in Ahmedabad, they broke during this encroachment drive. He broke around 108 temples, Hindu temples. And so just I want to give a picture that whatever comes in all the media, right, that everything is bad, it is not that bad. And the guy who is in top is ready to kill. It is not like that. He's also
yeah, but the problem with him is Nietzsche said that ideas are only good as their outcome. So ideas can only be judged based on how they pan out. So when we see ever since Modi came to power, we see radical Hindutva. I've said multiple times, I've never heard Modi himself give out any statement. But how many BJP political workers and politicians, second, third tier politicians, who've actually said some terrible things, and they have maintained their position? I mean, there's no disciplinary action taken against them.
To have your questions answered on the next live stream, become my patron today. You can do so with as little as $1 a month. Link in the description below.